So the devs just dropped the massive patch notes for the next big update. Be aware, however, this is for Korea, and we will very likely be getting all of these changes too, along with our Talandre update, just within less than 2 days. So let's go through everything here. It's super extensive, as you can see as I'm scrolling through here, and it's got a lot of new things that, yeah, we have never seen before. This is all of it summarized, and I'll have timestamps on the playbar below. You can skip to any section you're most interested in. So let's cover all of the details. First of all, solo dungeons. They have a bit of a trailer released for them, which is pretty cool. There's going to be 8 new solo dungeons, as we already know, 2 of which will get week 1, followed by another 2 the next week. And potentially, it should rotate 2 every week like we've had with trials. At least, that's how it's stated just here. Along with showcasing the rewards, which will include the tier 2 weapons. Now, none of these are the best stuff. They'll be stepping stone, so you'll mainly just use them for traits. And then they'll have runes. These are purple runes for Korea. We'll most likely have blue runes until 3 weeks later we actually get purple runes. And then they will also have accessories, which is honestly great news because the only other place they drop is 3-star dungeons, which again will be pretty limited on how quickly we can get those, and otherwise Nebula Island, which are kind of super inaccessible as the drop rates are insanely low. But moving on from that, we have the new gear syncing system, which they did post an overview video in Korea here, and we already know the main details of this. Other than the cost, the amount to actually unlock these slots increases as per the slot level. And we will be getting a 3rd slot, which will unlock later. And ultimately, this system allows us to basically have multiple different gear pieces and share the level from just one gear piece. So if you have a 1 level 12 gear piece, you can put 2 other gear pieces slotted adjacent to it and max the level on them. So this is just a huge quality of life improvement for gear options and flexibility in terms of builds without the massive sunk cost. But yes, unlocking those slots will be pretty expensive. As you can see right here, the first slot is 150 growth stones along with 8.5 million solent, and the second slot's 500 growth stones and 25 million solent. So basically the cost of upgrading one piece to max, but do you have the flexibility of always being able to switch the gear pieces between those slots once they're unlocked. Moving on, we have the new weekly rewards. It will have a new icon here, and ultimately when you complete your missions, you'll obtain points and you'll progress along like a track, and you'll obtain your rewards, and you'll be able to claim those rewards immediately when you accumulate the points. And just be aware, very important, any not claimed rewards before the week is over will be lost. Moving on, we have the new currency consolidation details. This gives us information on the direct exchange and the potential name being adventure coins. We get fighting spirit, and then we get God, so basically tier 1 and tier 2. But yeah, all of our 1-star dungeons gets converted to the tier 1 currency. For Korea's, all of their 2-star dungeon currency gets converted to the tier 2 currencies. For us, it will just be the tier 1 currency, at least for the beginning. And you can see the dimensional essence also getting exchanged here as well. There will be new merchants where you'll be able to spend those points to essentially craft gear. And there will be also a new resistant goods merchant where you'll be able to spend those resistant metals to obtain a whole different assortment of items, not just what we just got, which was crystals and XP. On from there, skill growth books. They will be getting consolidated, so no longer will we have a split between passive and active skills. It will all just be one skill growth book. This is great. I believe we'll still have the omnipotence ones though. And the arena merchant. This will be getting updated so you can buy the new currencies to say buy gear, and the rune chests will be updated so they're just pure blue ruined packs rather than being a random chance chest, which will give a bunch of greens mainly. And then the field boss and archboss changes. These are pretty huge, and basically you're going to have 3 portals. Your peace portal, just peace. Faction, you're split into different groups and you have to attack the boss. And then the guild battle, you sign up as a guild and you attack the field boss. Now, there will just be one boss for each region, like one for Lastland, one for Stoneguard, and one for Talandre. And what is very important is that during the battle, the boss will not reset and will not have its health restored. And also, contributions will not reset if the player dies while attacking the field boss in faction battles or guild battles. This is crazy change. Basically, it kind of buffs the hell out of ranged damage dealers. You can now sit back, find a safe spot, and just keep damaging the boss. If you die, no problem, you come back and keep damaging the boss. You're not going to have that contribution reset. In Archbosses, it's the same, but only for faction battles. So yeah, it's going to have a lot more of a priority of just killing the boss as quickly as possible, because killing players will not reset their contribution. Again, a massive kind of favoritism to range damage dealers who can more easily find a spot where they could still do damage from a distance. Melee damage dealers, honestly, you might just want to go into peace unless you have a really good guild. But yes, Archbosses on the war mode where you're guild versus guild in the open world, you can still reset the other guild's contribution by killing them. Next up, tax delivery. We already know it's getting put on a set time. This is great. They can't grief you by putting it at some really weird time and overlapping it with other events. And then the party matchmaking. The devs aren't too happy about it and feel that newer versus older players are having a bad time, so they'll be changing the balance to make it a lot easier, but also reducing these buffs. So rather than getting so much hit points here and damage caused, it'll be reduced. But then they're increasing shield block penetration values across our rune synergies. So like weapons and rings are going to like 9% and 10.5% for purple runes, and on bracelets 6% and 7.2%, along with the artifact also going from 8% to 10%, 12% to 15%, and the solar stone going from 25% to 35%. So overall, just more buffs that indirectly nerf sword and shield, reducing the chance that they can actually block attacks against you. They can only get somewhere of like, I believe 50%. And now hitting that level is pretty easy. So they'll basically not block anything. Now the Koreans, for some reason, are also getting tier 2 blue gear. This will then be a part of the whole economy. You can search it on the auction house and will be added to field drops, co-op dungeon rewards, abyss dungeon drops, and material transmutation. There were just a bunch of changes to, say, war games here, and also your arena, so you can't queue in it while you're doing other content. Nebula Island, you'll no longer reduce your playtime by just standing AFK in the hub area, and the co-op dungeon Torture Chamber of Screams got a little bit easier on the trial difficulties. Then for your whole treasure chests, these are from Cerodoma Island and the Shattered Crypt, and there'll be a new area in Talandre as well. They're completely changing the rewards. Now you will just always get Solent, and you just have a chance of getting tokens for your co-op dungeons, for getting the tier 1 and 2 currencies to buy gear. So yeah, it'll be up to you whether this is worth actually going for them now. It depends, I guess, how much Solent they actually give you and how much these chances are, these drop rates. We'll have to test and see. But yeah, it's definitely done as a result of all that chest stacking. I'm sure they did not intend for that. On from there, we have a Gate of Infinity change. You'll no longer be able to wear 2 of the same weapons to compete in the rankings. Guild bases will finally get training dummies, so you can find your own seclusive place there to test. I just wish they would add it to the Emote house. And then the new combat changes. We've seen the details on most of these, but what's really cool is they're adding movement while jumping. This was one of my biggest grievances starting this game, and I'm so happy they're finally fixing that. Finally adjusting it so you can, have a bit of control over how you jump, how far you jump, and then the slight direction you jump even. And overall, there's a ton of just extra fluidity changes here with skills, being able to move faster in combat, and it should just feel an awful lot better. There's also a new system with regards to removing CC effects. If a monster knocks you down, you can simply click like spacebar by default, or even your dodge button, like your Q, or I have it on shift, and every 30 seconds you can immediately remove that prone state and just roll. This will consume some stamina though. And for PvP, this aligns with your purification stone. It can use the exact same key, so you can just press spacebar or your shift and immediately it will consume that purification stone if you're under that condition. So this should just make it a lot easier to actually remove those CC effects, and for PvE, a very nice quality of life addition. Now this also comes with a change to the basic melee attack range, where it gets increased by 1 meter. So now you'll have a range of like 3 to 4 meters on most of your melee weapons. But this does come with a bunch of base attack distance changes so that the multiplier doesn't make the skills be able to attack much further than they normally could before. So sword has a bunch of those, greatsword does too, and also your spear. But we also get some survivability nerfs for the sword no longer having the magic defense increase and the magic endurance increase. Crossbow will no longer have 2 of its melee evasion increase effects, and staff will no longer have its increase of ranged evasion. On top of that, dagger is getting a nerf to shadow strike. You can now only teleport back within 4 seconds rather than 6. And otherwise, just some changes to the leveling up, the leveling codex. You no longer need level requirements for the certain acts, the certain chapters. This is great. And just some quest improvements here to improve the fluidity of how you play through those missions. And then what's really cool is a bunch of UI updates here for visibility. The damage floaters will no longer stay in, say, such a tight position and have like a unique color for like heavy attacks are now purple. An absolutely good addition there. There's also a bunch of adjustments for lithographs in the auction house, how you can find the location of certain items, whether that's in a chest or not, and otherwise a emote wheel. So you can select what emotes you want to have on that wheel and then be much easier be able to access them. Great to have this extra customization. There were some further bug fixes, as you can see through all these lists just here. And otherwise, yeah, these are some awesome new changes. Just a bit concerned about, the contribution change to field bosses and arch bosses. Now, as per announced on Korea, there is coming a super cool new outfit and weapon sets. Just have a look at this. This is a female character with the full set, then without the decorations, and then on a male character without the decorations, and then you can change the colors. There's a female character, another female character there, different colors, the male character, and the male character again, and now we have the new weapons. So the greatsword, the sword and shield, daggers, the crossbows, the longbow, and the staff, along with the book and wand and spear. Honestly, these look amazing. I love the whole set of the white and gold theme and just the whole art style of this with the weapons matching this outfit. And yeah, it's absolutely super cool and my style of a skin, honestly. At least for the male character. Many of you on the female character would prefer perhaps a bit more skin showing. But for, again, a male character, like paladin kind of Templar thing, this just looks amazing. Again, we'll have to see how it actually looks in game. Later on in Korea, I will be able to preview it as soon as this update drops, and I'll showcase it in a video. But yeah, that is pretty much everything other than we actually do get some new hairstyles. This one here and this one here. So yeah, that's a ton of info, and we'll probably get even more info when we get the official global patch notes. Because keep in mind again, disclaimer, these are the Korean patch notes. We usually get the exact same, as they're trying to align the versions of the games to mirror each other, to be the same so they don't have to like deal with 2 different versions of the game and they run into bugs and then they have a split dev team, and yeah, it's just a whole load of issues. We're finally catching up to Korea. But yeah, thanks all for watching, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.